welcome to the last Hollie's Hot Takes of the year, the Christmas special. My eyes are looking wonky. We're loving life. Wes, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Double shift for me this week, by the way, because obviously I was on Hollie's Hotspurs on Monday, which made a nice change because I'm never usually about on a Monday. But yeah, looking forward to this one. We got a lot of things by the sounds of it to get through, and as always, Hollie, we're going to do our best to get through them. So yeah, very much in the Christmas spirit. Obviously got my Christmas jumper on, got Rudolph out for tonight. So yeah, looking forward to it. I hope you are well as well.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Well, apart from the antler, it's a bit. I mean, it looks a bit pissed like I was last Friday, but it's fine. We will crack on. Before we start, I want to get in the Christmas spirit because I saw that Tim, the geezer at Spurs in one of the obviously places where he does the music and stuff. He's released this new song, and I really like it. I think it's quite jazzy, so we're gonna whack it on. We can all have a sing song.
Are you happy that the Aussie got the call? 'Cause the Tottenham he is gonna win it all. Does he play attacking football? Does he know the Tottenham way? We've got Ange, not Nuno, Jose or Conte. So here he is, past the Postecoglou, everybody's having fun. Look to the future now, 'cause Ange Ball's only just begun.
Hollie, I can't hear anything. I don't know what's happened. Wait, I don't know what's happened.
It's me. I've muted myself.
Yes, I can hear people now. I don't know what happened. Genuinely, not a clue. But I'm going to roll with it.
It's myself. You can tell it's
But
near
it's
the
your
end of the year.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
killed me then. But that was wicked. I absolutely love that, by the way. That is genuinely the first time I've ever heard it, and yeah, I'm in love with it. I'm probably now going to try and sing it on Saturday at least. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that now. That was wicked.
No, defo. Big shout out to Tim. Obviously, I saw it. He posted it on YouTube. I think it was yesterday or the day before. So make sure if you haven't, go check it out. Give it a like and a subscribe to his channel because he makes bangers for days. But that's kind of got us into the Christmas spirit. And Wes, I want to come at you with this first question, and that is, what are your thoughts on the season so far?
Oh, thoughts on the season? Well, it's been absolutely brilliant, I think. Like, genuinely feels like we have a connection back with our football club and our football team again, which was and has been fractured for a good few years now. But I feel like there's this real sense of excitement now when we go to games. Like, it's not a chore anymore. It's very much like, yeah, we're going to watch some good football, and it's not so much like, oh well, at least we've got Harry Kane to watch, or do you know what I mean? So the feel good factor is definitely back, and I think, if you'd have offered any Spurs fan to be in this position at this point, I think every Spurs fan, every sane one anyway, would have definitely snapped your hand off to go, right, new manager, not too sure where the direction of the club's going in. We didn't know really how Ange was going to take to not only Tottenham but the Premier League itself. We knew we had a bit of a rebuild on our hands, a lot of dead wood in the squad, which we're slowly but surely getting rid of. That was always going to take a bit of time. But then again, if you said, and then add into the fact that you lose one of the best centre forwards in world football, and your record goal scorer the day before the season kicks off. And I think if you said to any Spurs fan, well, you're going to be sitting fifth, 6 points off the top, going into Christmas. Yeah, like I say, I think everybody would have snapped your hand off at this point. I don't know if you feel the same, Hollie, but yeah, that's my view on it so far.
No, I love it. I think, like you said, you've hit the nail on the head. I think we all kind of feel the same in a sense that if you told us before the season started, especially with losing Harry Kane, that we'd be sitting where we're sitting, I would have shook your hand off and taken it and ran with it. It's just very, very nice. And like you say, we're always looking forward to the next game. And I think that's the thing. I think we've still got lots to come. And I'm sure we're going to dissect that a little bit later on in the show. But it's just a feel-good factor. And it's nice that everybody else is obviously tuning in as well. We've got Winnie in the house that said obviously he's the same. He looks forward to watching Spurs every week. But Wes, I know we spoke about the season so far. And
Yes.
I know that we've also got this comment coming already. Now, we've been practicing off screen with my pronunciation, and I'm going to go Tobino. Have I done it right?
No, it's Jean-Claire Todibo. If it's right, it should be that anyway. If you kind of did it as you read it, type of thing.
Yeah, I can't read very
Todibo.
well. So, but no, you've hit the pronunciation on the head. So obviously, this report's come out today, or the last couple of days. What's your kind of thoughts? Because we all want a centre back. Could this be the man that could be it?
Potentially. I have to profess, don't know too much about him. I know he was at Barcelona beforehand. I think he was sort of in and out in his time at Barcelona, from what I can make out. I think he had a loan spell somewhere as well when he was obviously at Barca, and we all know their sort of financial situation meant they had to sell players that I wouldn't say they probably wanted to sell, but they were looking at more as squad players. And I think, at the time, Todibo was definitely one of those. But I think he's gone to Nice and has really proved himself by the looks of it. And I think we've all seen that video going around of him tracking back. Looks absolutely rapid. But I think at the minute, us Spurs fans love a video of a defender tracking back, because obviously we had it with Van de Ven in the summer. So, yeah, I mean, you have Todibo and Van de Ven, that's just absolute pace. And then Romero's no slouch either. So, yeah, at this rate, we're going to be having this high line, I think, on the edge of the 18-yard box for the opposition. Scrap the halfway line like we had against Chelsea with Højbjerg and Dyer at the back. So, yeah, and I mean, look, the way France have been producing players over the last decade or so, obviously France are absolutely stacked like you wouldn't believe, especially at centre back. So listen, if you're getting a French centre back, they're going to be half decent, because like I say, they are absolutely stacked with world class centre backs. So it's not so much a fact of, well, he don't play for his country, yeah, but look at what's ahead of him. They are world class. So yeah, I think listen, if Ange wants him, I'm on board, put it that way.
I think that's the vibe at the minute, isn't it? Whoever whoever Postecoglou wants, that's who I want. I like what Ronnie said here. Ronnie's obviously done a little bit of homework and said that he's got a lot of pace, but he's also very much a hothead. What would you? I mean, this comment is making me giggle. The fact that maybe we brought him in so if Romero gets suspended, we can play him instead, and then when he gets suspended, we play Romero instead.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, Ronnie, as well. So yeah, I know Ronnie as well. I coach his boy. He's with me on a Friday night usually. But yeah, he's done his homework, so I'll props. I'll give him his flowers for that. But yeah, if he's a bit of a hothead, it's not okay. Right? Yeah, between him and Romero, I think now people will start playing bingo as to who's going to get the first suspension of the season between them two. I think the Romero bingo is replaced Lamella bingo in terms of how quickly is he going to get a card. I know me and my dad were always playing Lamella bingo when he used to come on. It'd be like, right, he's on 70 minutes. How long is it going to take before he gets booked for just absolutely snapping someone? So, yeah, but no, like I said, I think take that away, he looks like a good centre-back and one that is being coveted by obviously Man United, obviously with the link there potentially with Jim Radcliffe going in at United. But I did also see that it may not happen this winter. But I don't know if that's a certain Arsenal fan who is a journalist being a little bit salty, because we're getting a decent centre back and one that would very much fit by the looks of it into our style of play, as opposed to getting somebody in and then being like, right, how are we going to play with them available to us?
No, I think the thing is the fact that obviously as a Spurs fan, we got all these rumours flying around left, right, and centre during the transfer window. You're never sure if it's just a bit of pinch of salt or if it's actually going to be genuine. But the fact that you're seeing these rumours come out, Wes, and it's almost like we need that player, we need that one. It's almost like it's giving you a little bit of hope this time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I used to work in a recruitment role within football, and yeah, it really opened my eyes to kind of how a football recruitment department works. So it's no surprise that these types of things are coming out. Well, the rumors anyway. No surprise really they're coming out early. The fact that we were talking with Tadebo's representatives again doesn't really shock me at all. It's probably been, something that's been at least in the works for a good 6 weeks, probably, even probably longer. It's just the way that it works. It's not so much of like, right, you rock up on the first day of pre-season. It's like, right then, lads, who we signing? There's a lot of work that goes into these things. Obviously, football clubs. The main difference, I would say, within the football recruitment department is obviously when a manager gets sacked, the strategy then might change, or somebody new comes into the role. And I think obviously we're having that now with the guys that we brought in from Villa, but it was pretty much, okay, they're straight into work, getting ready. Perhaps this window work has probably already been done. So I think perhaps the effect of like I say, the guys from Villa coming in, we may not see straight away. And it'll be a case of us seeing that work that they've been doing probably in the summer, if not in about a year's time, because the recruitment departments usually work a good 2-3 windows in advance. Yes, there are going to be some things that pop up every now and then, like a player might become available. That, for example, there's rumours that Sancho's contract might be terminated, so that's going to put other clubs on red alert with regards to that, because it was a situation that that wouldn't have necessarily been in recruitment department's line of thinking beforehand. So yeah, that's kind of how it works, if that makes sense.
No, it's a cool insight. Like I say, it's mad to think that maybe, hopefully, this time things are done in advance. It seems to be going obviously that way. And Wes, because it's Christmas,
Yes.
I want to ask you your January transfer wish list from Santa, the big man himself. So I know you've done your homework, unlike me,
have.
and have prepared a list for Santa. So I'm going to let you fire away with what your
Okay.
hopes and dreams are for January.
Well, I've gone with probably everybody's sort of, right, this is what we need in terms of positions. So obviously a centre back is one. Now this was quite an interesting one, because yes, we still have Eric Dyer, not for very long probably. But then it's a case of, right, what is Ange potentially going to be looking for? It's not just the fact of a centre back. Is it going to be somebody that can play on the right of the back four? Is it a left-footed centre back? Is he going to continue to stick with Davis as being the other left-sided centre back, or are we going to get a new one in? So I went with at the top of the list, not necessarily at the top of my list, but I'll explain why he's at the top. Was a player that we've been linked with previously, actually, Hincampe from Leverkusen. Remember him? 35 million euros is his market value according to Transfer Market. And I think that relationship potentially then with Romero, in terms of them being, it's probably Portuguese or Spanish speaking, would be good. Obviously, a really good ball playing centre back as well, international experience. He's had to play alongside Davinson Sanchez as well, I believe, so he must be half decent as well. Then I kind of get into Football Manager territory at this point. I then looked at two centre backs from Sporting Lisbon. One is Gonçalo Inácio, Portuguese centre half, 30 million euro market value again. Another ball playing centre half. Actually, Portugal got some really good young centre backs coming through, and a real sort of golden generation that's coming through. So again, another left-footed player, and again could probably. I don't think if he gets a move in the next 12 to 18 months, then I will be really, really shocked. So I think it's one of those whereby we may have to act early in order to get him.
To do.
in order to get him. Then I kind of went with two centre halves that would be more sort of club policy signings. One was Eduardo Quaresma, again from Sporting Lisbon, a lot younger. 3.2 million euros market value. Oh, no, 2.5 million euros. Sorry, market value from transfer market. So right-sided centre back. But I think again with Quaresma, Ignacio, they're probably, I think they still qualified to play for Portugal's under 21s, yet they've got a lot of experience between them in terms of like European football. I think Quaresma's was out on loan, come back and played really well in the last few games. I think the manager was talking him up really well as well. So looks like he has got a bright future. And then one who's from Peterborough actually, Ronnie Edwards, he actually plays for England at youth level under 20s. Arguably one of the most sought after, or probably one of the hottest prospects coming out of League One at the minute. I know Posh are surprised by the fact that no one's come in for him yet, because they know obviously his quality and what he can do. Like I said, capped at England at youth level, and still only 20. So again, the only downside for that would be his lack of experience sort of within sort of big games, big moments, similarly to Ash Phillips. But then if we were to get him in, we'd then have three cracking, in my opinion, young centre-backs coming through with Dorrington, Phillips and Edwards. And the good thing with that is, as well as they're all English. So, you know, looking at that homegrown quota as well. Then, obviously, Jean-Claire Todibo came out of nowhere in the midst of me doing my research. And that looked at one time that it was going to be, you know, all said and done, all signed, sealed, delivered from Santa and his elves, which would have been nice. But then also I've been reading obviously about Barcelona's financial situation that I mentioned earlier. And then there's Andreas Christensen and Jules Koundé. Now, don't think we'll probably get either, but they would be very, very nice if either one of those was to rock up. I know Koundé's also played at right back, not only for France but for Barcelona as well. And I think Christensen has gone into Barcelona. I know when he first went in there and he was like a revelation. They were buzzing that they got him. So yeah, that's from the centre back point of view. Is what I've gone for. If I was to nail my hat on one that we would probably get, it appears at the moment Todibo. If not, I would probably go with Hincampe, but I don't think Leverkusen are going to sell mid-season. Obviously, they're flying at the moment in the Bundesliga. But yeah, I think he was heavily linked with us not that long ago. So I think he'd be quite nice from a centre-back point of view. Do you want me to carry on with my other bits, or have you got any?
I was just going to put up this from Darren because I put in the chat if anybody's got some questions for us. And Darren's whacked in this one. So how many signings do you think will sign this window? I'll go for you first, Wes, and then
how many? Well, Anne just asked for a centre back. Whether he gets it or not, who knows? I think it's, and I was reading again today that it's a case of more, and I think Tottenham's business is going to be a lot more of who we shift out as opposed to who we get in. And I think it sounds bonkers because we're in the top 10 richest clubs in the world that we're going to have to sell before we buy. But if I was to nail my hat, I would probably say 3.
Nice.
I'd say 3.
I was going to go a bit less, and I'm going to go 2. I think for Spurs, I think windows for us. I know the summer window was great, but everybody says January's a hard window, blah, 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 blah. But I think that depends of how well you've decided to plan ahead. And I feel like this summer has been brilliant, and I'm hoping that they've tried to carry that on in January. And I think 2 would be ideal. Frankie's put Chalobah, possibly. Are you thinking that or nah?
I think Chalobah's one of those that is available. Do I see Chelsea dealing to us? Absolutely not. Which then throws a potential player that I've got written down completely out the window. But look, I know Bayern were extremely interested in Trevor Chalobah as well in the summer, and I think it's a player that Tuchel liked. I think Chalobah was a player that Tuchel was starting to integrate into the Chelsea team. not as quickly as last season, I think, if not the season before. And Chalobah was really starting to sort of come into his own. I think he got injured. Do I see him ending up at N17? No. But I don't. He's one of those types of players that I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't know enough about him, but it's like, does he play as a right back? Does he play as a centre back? Is he a holding midfielder? Like, and he's what, 24, I think. So it's getting to that time where you need to start nailing down a position, because if you don't, you're just going to end up being a bit of a run-of-the-mill kind of and a fill-in sort of player. But I understand why potentially the club would want to do that deal. Obviously, homegrown quota and whatnot, because yeah, we are low in that department, I think.
Definitely. And Kerry's here as well. She said any hopes of signing, she's not waiting until obviously there's the dotted line, which is fair enough, because as Spurs fans, we tend to have to always wait till we see that. It's nothing set in stone with Spurs. And one more question from Darren before you give me the rest of your Santa wish list. And he says, do you think Højbjerg will be sold this window with Juventus showing interest?
Oh, I'll tell you what, Holly, that's linked it quite well, to be fair, because one of the midfielders, one of the positions I was thinking of was a central midfielder or a holding midfielder, CDM, for the FIFA kids out there. Do I think Højbjerg's... Listen, I think it's one of those where if an offer for Højbjerg comes in, I think the club would look at it, to be honest. And if he does go, I am screaming to get Mr. Calvin Phillips potentially on loan to begin with, because I think that's what City are probably going to look to do if they're going to ship him out. And I think that will mainly be down to wages, to be honest. But if anybody saw Calvin Phillips in a Leeds team under Marcelo Bielsa, if anybody can get him close to that, you've got a serious player on your hands, because he was absolutely unbelievable in that Leeds team under Bielsa. Really, really good in terms of tactical flexibility as well. I think I said it on Park Lane podcast on Sunday. You know, he played in the back three, played as a sweeper, and obviously fantastic in front of that back four as well. I think he would offer so much to us. 28 million euros is his market value off transfer market as well. But yeah, he would be, if Højbjerg goes, I'm begging Mr. Levy, please get me Calvin Phillips. Experience of big games as well. Obviously playing in the England team and getting obviously that far in the Euros and stuff like that. So, and listen, I know he's not playing much for City at the moment, but there's a reason why he's still getting picked for England. And I think it's down to what he can produce, you know, in terms of on the ball, off the ball, really high energy type player. And I think he would just suit Ange absolutely perfectly. So that's who would be my go-to straight away if Højbjerg goes.
I think, like you said, I think we just need a refresh. I don't think, sadly, Højbjerg any longer is that man to fill that role. I feel like he does a job when he comes on, but then when he comes on, it's almost like you're waiting for him to make a mistake or give the ball away or punt the ball away, and you're thinking you didn't really necessarily have to do that. So, and I know that you've been talking about Mr. Calvin Phillips for a little while, so it would be very nice for him to come in and then you'd be able to say, look, I told you so. So it would be nice. But I also, obviously, because you know, I think you said you've got a few more on your list, so if you want to fire away, go for it.
So there's a young player who, well, I think all of these are fairly young anyway. Football Manager-ish is the next step. But there's a young player again who's been playing really, really well in the Championship, Hayden Hackney at Middlesbrough. I think he come into the side pretty much under Michael Carrick and has been playing really, really well again. I think capped at youth level for England, and I think the club quite like the look of him. He's got €7 million market value as well. So, but I think Borough are trying to hold out for at least up to £15 million. That is. So that'll be an interesting one to see where that goes. Archie Gray at Leeds is again been outstanding for Leeds this season. Every time I've heard anything about Leeds, you know, his name's getting brought up. I think he's done a shift at right back as well for them this season, and I think. I know Daniel Farker's quite a fan of bringing young players into the team that he's in. He did it a lot at Norwich, and I think there was a good clutch of about 5 players. You know, they had Aarons, Godfrey, Lewis, Cantwell, Buendia, you know, all in the team at the same time, and absolutely blitzed the Championship. I know it didn't quite work out for them in the Prem, but you're looking at those individuals and going, do you know what? I wouldn't mind those 5 in particular at that time to, you know, walk through the door. Adam Wharton is another one at Blackburn, although I think he's just signed a new contract. But I think Blackburn are probably looking at it going, we're going to lose him at some point, whether that's this January. There might be a couple of bids coming in, or I definitely think in the summer he's going to be the big one kind of to leave Blackburn. George Hall from Birmingham as well. He's started to come into the team a little bit. I think there's another player though at Birmingham, winger I want to say, who is sort of stealing the headlines at the minute, but Birmingham seem to be doing well in terms of bringing players through and selling them for a good price. Obviously we've seen it with Jude recently, his brother Job, George Hall, and then this wing, I can't for the life of me remember his name, but I think these are the next 2 that are coming through the academy at Birmingham, who I think they're looking at selling and potentially moving on, even though they have got new owners of Birmingham. Not that they've had the best track record, because they sacked their manager and got rid of Eustace when they were in the playoffs. They're now sort of in and around mid-table towards the bottom end, so that's worked out well for them. And lastly, I saw the other day, I think someone's mentioned it as well in the chat potentially, Mr. Conor Gallagher. This one's really interesting for me, because I see Conor Gallagher as a real sort of high energy player, and he's a player that I've really liked, especially from his time at Palace. I've been a huge fan of Conor Gallagher. I think he's a bit of a throwback in terms of you don't see many box-to-box kind of midfielders anymore. They're either holding midfielders or more attacking midfielders. English, so I'm actually surprised Chelsea are potentially listening to offers for him. Homegrown talent as well, come through the academy there. Been captain a few times this season. Obviously, Reece James and Ben Chilwell are made of like cheese string, so they're unreliable. So Conor Gallagher's, I think, has really stepped up for Chelsea in terms of being the leader on the pitch. Obviously, we know they've had a lot of high turnover of player, a lot of change there. So to have someone there that kind of knows what's expected at that football club. I mean, I don't like Chelsea. In fact, I hate them with a passion, but I probably hate them more than Arsenal, to be fair. But, you know, I think it's important to have those types of players there within any environment. But, yeah, again, I don't see Chelsea dealing with us. So I'm surprised that this was a rumour in the first place. But looking at it, I think, well, with Pape Sarr going off to AFCON, Gallagher could be a decent one. The only thing is he can lose his head quite quickly, and he is prone to a card. But then half our team are, to be fair. So who knows? He might fit in, he might not. So that's what I've gone for. But the dream for me is Calvin. Honestly, like to have.
I want to see it happen now.
To have that, like. Do we fancy Basuma in front of the back four today? Do we fancy Calvin Phillips? And then in front of them, is it Bentancur? Is it Pape Sarr? Is it Madders? Do you know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden then you've got a bit more of a, I wouldn't say complete midfield, but there's a bit more strength and depth there. And I think Højbjerg's been a player that's done a job for us, but I think he's just so frustrating to watch, Hollie. Do you know what I mean? Like he's telling everybody to calm down at times when he needs to get on the ball, and then he looks forward but then doesn't play the pass at the time that he should, Højbjerg. So he's just too safe for me, and then he's struggling to get around the pitch at times as well, which surprised me, because when you saw him at Southampton you think, well, he can cover the ground quite well, but yeah, Gallagher, I mean, it would be nice, but if he doesn't come, I'm not going to cry about it in the same way I would if we don't get Calvin.
No, it's a fair shout, and I think, like you said, I think Højbjerg's been a great servant, but I think it's a good time to now sell him on, rather than keep hold of him just because we want that depth. Like you said, we want that strength. Depth. I know we've got a few more comments / questions. I want
Hit
to
me
bring
with
up Winnie's first, and then we'll bring up Darren's.
yes.
And Winnie's talking about obviously recalling Roden, and the fact whether he potentially be a player that would be great under Ange. Do you think?
Oh, do you know what? Joey Roden's magic, as the song goes, as the chant goes. I feel so sorry for Joe Roden because Mourinho wanted Skriniar and ended up with Joe Roden. I think he's an interesting player because he's a bit of a throwback in the sense that he will kind of put his head in where most people wouldn't. Can play. I don't think he's mobile enough though. That's the thing. It appears from what we've seen in the first part of the season that you need to be mobile to play in an Ange system, and I think that's why Eric Dyer has very quickly been binned after the Wolves game in particular because he's just not mobile enough. So yeah, but listen, I thought he was actually a decent centre half. I know he came in obviously COVID time, had a bit of a, I wouldn't say a shocker, but he had a scary moment away at the bridge. But I think obviously that didn't lead to anything. But I think from then on it was a bit difficult for him. I think he had another sort of then time against Liverpool where he sort of let the ball bounce. He hasn't seen Mane over his shoulder, and Mane's put one in the top corner. But yeah, I did quite like Joe Rowe. I just don't think. I think he could end up being a decent centre half, just not for Tottenham, which is a shame.
Yeah, I kind of get that too. I think, like you said, it was kind of poor timing. I think for him coming in, obviously Skriniar being Skriniar, and then you getting hit Roden instead. It's kind of like I feel like you already had it out for him already when he came into the club. But obviously we're talking about Christmas. Well, it's not really a miracle, but we're talking about Christmas at the moment and how great it is to watch Tottenham and how amazing it is to currently watch Richarlison bagging goals. But Darren's coming in with a comment/question that's saying, if the Saudis come in for Richarlison, would you sell him if we get our money back for him? Now that is a question and a half.
It's going to be a short answer. Yes, I would actually. I'm not sure if I've said this to you on Monday or whether I did it on Sunday on Partlane Podcast. Don't worry, Hollie, I'm not cheating on you. Don't worry. Don't worry. But yeah, 50 games for Richarlison now in the Spurs shirt, handful of goals. It's not really worked out, I don't think, how we all wanted to. Listen, absolute shithouse Richarlison, and I love him for it because we have longed for that. And do you know what? He doesn't care who he upsets. So it's almost like we got rid of Lamella and brought in Richarlison and Romero. It's like you killed the person but not the idea type of thing. But yeah, it's just not worked out, I don't think. I look at obviously his goal ratio is horrendous, but it's more the quality of chances that he's missed have been huge. And I think that is the biggest thing for me. I know he was never overly prolific at Watford or Everton. He was always that sort of 1 in 3 kind of player. But in the situation we're in now, we can't afford for our main striker or our main number 9, what Richie is at the moment. We can't afford for our centre forwards to be a 1 in 3 or a 1 in 4 kind of thing. I don't know if that's because we're so used to having Sir Harold Edward Kane up top, and you've got 20, 25 goals guaranteed. But yeah, if it was me, if we get anywhere near 60 for Richarlison, I'd snap your hand off. I really, really would. Which then leads me into my wish list for my centre forwards, Hollie. See what I did there?
Look at this.
See what I did there. First on my list is a centre forward who has been absolutely brilliant for the past year or so. And I think he would suit Ange's system so much better than another striker. But they do have one thing in common. They've both played for a club in London. But at the top of my list is Ollie Watkins. I think he would be absolutely incredible under Ange. So listen, if Giroud's 10 years younger, yeah, get me Giroud, one of the most underappreciated centre forwards of his generation, Olivier Giroud, honestly. But yeah, for me, Ollie Watkins would be a dream. Can't see it happening for the life of me, so I'm just gonna have to keep dreaming. But yeah, Ollie Watkins would just be brilliant. I think his movement, especially under Emery, has been phenomenal. He leads the line so well. He's got pace. He can get him behind. He doesn't really give centre halves a moment's trouble or a moment's peace. Sorry, his goals have just been absolutely brilliant, and in different types of finishes as well, Hollie, which is what I like. So yeah, Watkins, 60 million euro market value as well. But yeah, I think if you're Villa, you're looking at 80 upwards. You're talking sort of Ivan Toney money, who was the striker that I had a debate with a certain somebody with on Sunday. So yeah, I don't think Ivan Toney suits Tottenham. He suits Arsenal, I think, probably more than he suits Tottenham. And we definitely play a different way. Kane on loan, yeah, we'd all love that, wouldn't we? Let's be honest. But then second on my list is Jonathan David from Lille. This one's a slightly different one because he can operate more across those frontline positions. So it depends on what Ange is sort of after. Is he after a sweet, like a number 9 old school type centre forward? Or is it a case of someone that can operate in multiple areas? If that's the case, then Jonathan David, I think, wouldn't be a bad shout. 50 million euro market value. I think you could probably get around similar. I think you could get him for around that. So yeah, that would be an interesting one. Then again, I can't see this happening just because of the way his team are going at the minute. But Victor Boniface from Leverkusen, been on absolute fire. I mean, Leverkusen are still unbeaten in the Bundesliga. They are clear of Bayern Munich at the top of the league as well. I know Bayern have a game in hand as well. But Boniface, again, one that I think between him and Osimhen, basically sort of up top for Nigeria internationally. They might even play as a 2. But you've got goals there, you've got pace, which is a big thing, I think, and obviously in the Premier League. And yeah, I think he's not a small chap either. So yeah, he might be worth a shout. But for any players that play Football Manager, this next player is for you. If you don't know about this player, get to know, comes in clutch every time. Marcus Leonardo, a Brazilian centre forward from Santos. Now, here's the interesting thing, Hollie, because he bagged around that sort of 20-25 goals for Santos this year, but Santos got relegated, believe it or not. Yeah, he's still hitting those numbers. So that says a lot about him. And I think Santos are resigned to the fact that he is going to go at some point. And it might be that they won't get the value or what the price that they want for him, because obviously they have got relegated. But I think Leonardo's biggest problem will be Endrick and Victor Roque, two teenage Brazilian strikers in terms of internationally, because Endrick's like the next star. Pretty much, and then you got Victor Roque off of that as well. Endrick's going to Real Madrid. Roque is going to be at Barcelona. Barcelona acted because Real Madrid signed the next superstar, so Barcelona had to do something. But Marcus Leonardo's like the third Brazilian, like still only 20, and yeah, comes in clutch on Footy Manager. Like, listen, the amount of times I've signed this guy and he is never ever done me bad. So yeah, Marcus Leonardo for my Football Manager players out there. If you don't sign him early enough, then you're paying a hefty price to try and sign him. But he could be one, because, like I say, Santos's financial situation now is going to be really different because obviously they got relegated. But I think he's still come out of that season with a lot of credit. So he could potentially be the player that we all thought Velis was going to be. I'm not saying that from a hype point of view, because Velis is absolutely massive and I'm not messing about with him. In terms of that expectation, in terms of what we might want. And yes, Darren, you do need to sign him on Football Manager. But you need to get him in your first transfer window. That is my tip.
There we go. Look at that. We're having transfer rumours. We're having transfer people you need to look out for. We've even got football manager tips. I love it, Wes, man. This is why you're on my cut. To be honest, you might as well just be the host as well, because I could just listen to you. But no, it's like I say, it's quite an interesting thing for you, because obviously I haven't done my homework as per usual. But it's quite nice for you to say some of these names, and I actually know who some of them are. So I must be doing something right at some point. But no, it's a really good insight, and like I say, it's nice for everybody else to have their input as well. I know that we've had some people in the chat talking about who they want, who they don't want, etc., etc. But you know what? I think January's going to be pretty fun. I think it's not going to be one that I think we're going to get everything done, because as we know, nothing ever normally gets a lot done in January. But I have a lot of hope, Wes, because I feel like there's been a lot of planning behind the scenes for once with the personnel that we now have at Tottenham.
Yeah, I think obviously that it's almost as if Levy has gone, right, we need to change things drastically at this football club. And he's probably looked at a Brentford model, a Brighton model. Obviously, for those that don't know, Brentford are very data driven within their model. They kind of go down the Moneyball route, buy cheap, sell for extortionate prices basically. And obviously, it looks like Ivan Toney will be the latest one from that. But they do it off algorithms. So, for example, when they bought Ivan Toney and they lost Watkins, it was okay. So we need a striker. Here's the top 5 strikers that we feel like we can get. Then it was okay. So Ivan Toney scored, I think it was 30 goals for Peterborough in his final season. Okay, if he replicates those goals for us, we expect to finish in X position. What that then means for us is potentially playoffs, everything else. And then they also look at, well, if who's going to be supplying him? Well, we've got this player, this player, this player. So that was their model for a good period of time at Brentford. I actually listened to High Performance podcast with the guy who's in charge of it, and it was a really fascinating listen. So I definitely recommend that as well. And then you look at Brighton and the way that they've gone about doing it, and it's like, right, how are they doing it? So it's a lot of data now. I know obviously a lot of football clubs are data driven anyway. So he's kind of coupled that, and then he's looked at, well, Villa's recruitment seems to be all right over the last few years, doesn't it? Who was responsible for that? Oh, it was this geezer, this geezer, this geezer. Right, we'll take the lot of you. And then he's still got Don Fabio pulling strings, because you're telling me he ain't pulling strings. He definitely is. And listen, Paratici, on the whole, has not missed. He has not missed at all. So yeah, I think he's just looked at it and gone, this is what we need to do then to change how we do things. So yeah, it feels like there's experts in the right areas now, which I think was something that we lacked for a period of time at Tottenham. Obviously, I'm not going to speak bad of people, but when you see on the documentary that Steve Hitchin isn't a fan of January, and it's like, okay, but this is the month where you kind of come into your own effectively, and you've got to be, as I said earlier, deals aren't going to be done from, it's not like 1st of January going, right, we need a winger, we need a centre forward, we need this, and it's like, but this is the time when you really earn your money. So to hear that, I think everybody was a bit perplexed and a bit confused by that, because like I say, this is his month to really, like, this is time to shine. So for him to say that was really strange. But yeah, I think we're going to have hopefully a decent window. Do I still expect to see Jota coming in on loan potentially as well? That was one that I didn't add in, but it's still one that if it happens, I think everybody's waiting for it basically. So that wouldn't shock me either.
No, definitely. I think that's the thing. I think because of that connection that they both have, him and Postecoglou, it's almost like it's potentially written in the stars.
Yeah.
I think, which is nice. And thank you for joining, ST Martin. I'm assuming that you're new to the channel, so I do really appreciate that. Wes has all the knowledge. I just kind of put the questions together, but it might as well just be a Wes show on a Thursday/Wednesday, because Wes is the man with all the brains. But Wes, I think that kind of leads me to say maybe one last question before we say our Merry Christmases to everyone, and that is
Yes.
the fact that obviously this has been a very good season so far, but we've
Yes.
still got another half to go. And
Yeah.
where do you see right now at this point? Where do you see us heading? Do you think at the end of the season?
I believe that we are in the best shape as a all round club. I think we're in the best shape that we've been in for a long, long time. And I even put that ahead of 2018, 2019 because 2019 for Tottenham was abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't win away for God knows how long. I know, because me and my dad ended up going round half the bloody country for us not to win away, which was lovely. Obviously, yes, we had the heights of the Champions League final, but as I said, our league form in 2019 was absolutely horrific. We had a massive hangover from the Champions League. The club didn't really know what to do, and I think it was an experience for everybody, and it was like, well, we've reached what is the pinnacle really of club football. And we didn't get it over. Like, what do we do now? Where do we go from here? And everybody was a bit like rabbit in headlights. Like, I don't know. We don't know. We've never been in this situation before, so we don't know what to do. But like I say, I think we're in the best shape that we've been in probably since the last season at White Hart Lane. And at the old ground. And I think we are only going to get better. I think we have a manager in place who is clear in his identity and his philosophy in terms of what he wants to do and what he wants to achieve at the football club. He speaks unbelievably well. Like, he's literally one of us in the sense of, like, somebody could be you could be chatting to Ange in the pub and he would give the same answers as he does to the journalists who are asking him crap questions every week. So yeah, I just think he gets it. We are in love with him because he has brought a style of football that Tottenham fans can connect with, but it's for a certain generation, probably like me and you, Hollie, like we were told about this style of football, this Tottenham way, if you like, which at times you're going, well, what really is it? But it's very much now like, okay, yeah, this is the football I was brought up on. This is the football like my dad was telling me about growing up. Like, oh yeah, we play this way. We have to play this way. So yeah, I think we're in a good position. I'm not going to put a timeline on trophies or anything like that, because that topic gets fucking boring, to be honest. So yeah, I just think, look, I've said this before, even if we finish 5th or 6th this year, it will be an unbelievable season, like an amazing achievement and an amazing season. I think we are, in a way, I think we're in the midst, and then definitely in the mix for Europe, 100%. But yeah, I think Ange has almost got a free hit this year because we weren't expecting anything anyway. It's more next year and the year after, which is going to be interesting and intriguing, because as he starts to put hopefully more of his stamp on this team, it will be interesting to see where it goes. But what has happened in such a short space of time has been absolutely phenomenal, and we could have been in the same place that United are in right now, or early Arsenal under Arteta, and Chelsea under Potter. We could have been in that kind of moment, but we're not. And it's just long may it continue, because it is so refreshing. It is a breath of fresh air to hear Ange speak, because he wants to be at the football club. It's not like he's doing us a favour, like Conte and Jose were. He wants to be here, and he wants to do well for the football club and for the fans, more importantly. So yeah, like I say, long may it continue, and I am loving Big Ange instead.
Yes. And I love the way you put that spin on, because you didn't say a position in the league. I mean, no, you said 5th or 6th, but you didn't say we're going to get this one. I think it's just, at the moment, like you said, we want to enjoy our football. We're doing that, and we're getting the results as they come. And the thing is, for me, the amount of injuries we've had, and I know that suspensions are our fault, but with all of that in mind, we have done excellently. And like you said at the start of the show, the fact that we lost Harry Kane and we're still doing as well as we're doing, I think it's a madness within itself. But Wes, it's been excellent tonight to do our little Christmas special. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. My head is really itchy because of these glasses. I can't wait to take them off. That kind of leaves us to say one thing, and that is after your outro in a minute, Wes. But that is, because obviously that is the highlight of the whole show in itself. I want to say a big thank you to everybody. I mean, this is the last live show of the year, so to speak. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody that's tuned in, that's either watched a short of me singing something ridiculous at the football, a video of me after the game and dissecting it all in my weird way, all the guests that have come on, Wes for putting up with me every week when I decide, oh, Wes, I'm not here this week, but he still does the show regardless. Thank you to everybody else, obviously, that's tuning in now, is going to rewatch this, blah, 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 and all the new people. Merry Christmas to you all, and Wes, Merry Christmas to you too, my friend. And yeah, it's been a good year, and I'm glad that we started this season, this show, and I promise in 2024 I will be more organised and more around.
Yes. But firstly, thank you, Hollie, for giving me a bit more of a platform, not only to just talk football, talk Tottenham, but then also allow me to kind of give my views. And yeah, I'll kind of be forever grateful for you for that. And not only that, but I'm pretty sure you were the first person that allowed me to come onto like a podcast as well. I never really used to do them. So yeah, like I say, thank you for that. And I hope you have, and not only you, but everybody in the world has a fantastic festive period as well. But yeah, if you could be more organised in 2024, that would be great. You ready for the outro?
Go for it, man. For the last time this year, Wes, fire away with the outro.
Okay, here we go. Twitter is at Weso10, the unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account. You should all know that by now. Just genuinely tweeting all things about the greatest ever Belgian. Not only that, in my eyes, the greatest player to pull on a Spurs shirt in Moussa Dembele. If I'm not tweeting about him, it's usually retweeting the fact that we're doing a show or anything else. So yeah, I don't tend to get too involved, but I like seeing and hearing about other people's views, not only with regards to Tottenham, but football in general. I just love football really. So yeah, it's usually a good one. Instagram is at Weso32. Usually see me at a Spurs game somewhere. The background is a view from one of my seats, which is as you can probably tell, a wicked view. Get to see quite a lot of the game and everything else, which helps me break things down, which is really nice. So when I come on shows like this, I can give my opinion as well. And then obviously I also run my own football coaching business in the Milton Keynes area, Dele Alley country, for those people that basically don't know where Milton Keynes is, to be honest, because it's not overly famous as a place. We are famous for Dele Alley, of course, but that's about it. So it's Kickoff Football Academy or at Kofa MK across all your social channels. And Merry Christmas, everyone.
Love that. Honestly, it's my favourite thing. I love it. But like I said, it's been great to have you on, Wes. It's great to obviously have everybody in the chat. I was trying to strive for 3,000. I don't think we're going to get there. So if you are watching this, you are new, go tell all your friends and everyone and come over and subscribe, because I'm telling you now, at the end of January, we have a very, very special guest coming on again. He does a lot in transfer news. He has been on the channel before, so keep your eyes peeled. Weso may be joining me this time because I put him in the mud last time. So it'd be nice to have Wes on too with this.
If it's Fabrizio, we riot.
I can tell you for now, it ain't Mr. Fabrizio.
Oh, no.
It is someone else though, and he will be joining us at the end of January to dissect all the transfer windows. Obviously, until the end of January, we will have lots of Hollie's Hotspurs, etc., etc. But I am signing off now till 2024. And again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in this whole year. It's been excellent. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.